Hi guys, Brian from Brian Boas here. Long-tailed or Longicauda boas are a beautiful darker subspecies of boa that has a very dedicated cult following. Today I want to give you guys an update on my Longicauda animals. I'm going to show you some babies that are growing up. I'm going to talk about my current breeding and as well as show you some adult breeders. So be sure to stay tuned. So to start with, this is a 2021 holdback Beset bloodline Longicauda. This guy's a male, one of the animals I held back, and he's doing great. He's putting on some size, probably about 2.5 feet long right now. You can see his color change has already started. And so when these animals are born, they're much lighter in color, and then with every shed they get a little bit more melanin pigment until as adults they have these beautiful dark saddles and these beautiful dark head markings. And you can see this guy's already started the metamorphosis. But I'll show you his some of the adults in a minute here, and you can see how much darker they are. But just beautiful animal. These Longicauda are kind of a great sleeper species. You know, you don't hear a lot about them, but they're really a great reptile to keep. They don't get as big as many boas. You know, the adults are maybe 5 or 6 feet long. They're typically pretty easy to keep as far as the husbandry. They're not delicate like the true red tails, and they're also quite docile and handleable. So, you know, a great boa species. Some of the people who've discovered these animals work with nothing else. They're kind of like a cult favorite. But I think in general, a lot of people, especially those new to boas, might not be aware of this type of boa. So definitely one to look out for if you're just starting in the boa hobby. Next we have an adult female Longicauda boa. This is a 2016 animal from Vin Russo's bloodline. And just love this female. She actually bred the first time for me in 2022. And I still have quite a number of her babies available. But she's got this beautiful dark coloration. You can see all the speckling on her belly and just how dark her saddles are. And then I just love the head and face markings of these animals. It's just a gorgeous looking animal. And so this female is pretty much full size. She's about 6 feet long or so. They're a little bit more slender than some other boas, like the true red tails. So they're not going to be as thick or muscular at a given length as, you know, a true red tail would be. And in general, they're very docile animals, easy to care for. You know, non-demanding in husbandry requirements, and just a highly recommended animal to work with. So this female is not breeding this year, but we'll see about next year. But she's starting to put back on the weight that she lost having her litter of babies. Just looking nice. One of my favorite Longicaudas in the collection. Here's another adult Longicauda. This guy is a 2015 male from the Beset bloodline. He's actually the father of the subadult that I showed in the first scene of the video. And you can see he's got a little bit of a different look. He's really dark overall. And although you can see his saddles, they've really become much less distinct. You know, as they acquire more and more of the dark pigment, the saddles kind of get a little blurred out. And you know, in some animals you can barely see the saddles once they reach adult size. You can also see how much speckling and, you know, all the dark pigment that he has on the belly. But just a really cool, distinctive looking boa. This guy is also pretty mellow, you know, enjoyable to handle. Not an animal that's gonna try to get away or move, you know, very fast. And very docile. I've never had one act defensively or aggressively towards me, and they're always enjoyable to handle. So just a great type of boa for somebody that doesn't want a huge animal that they're going to be able to handle, and it doesn't have some of the same husbandry issues as the true red tails and some of the more finicky and, you know, fragile types of boas. Here's another gorgeous adult female Longicauda boa. This is a 2015 Beset bloodline animal. She's actually the mother of the animal I showed in the first scene. And she's actually paired up this year with the male that I showed you in the previous scene. And they were showing quite a bit of activity earlier on in the season, back in like December. They seem to have cooled down a bit. So probably what I'm going to do in another week or so is separate all my pairs, which have been together for a couple months now. I'm going to feed them, give them a week off, and then put them back together. And that's typically what I'll do up until around April, May, even June in some cases, until my animals are gravid to have their babies. But just a gorgeous looking animal. You can see the beautiful head markings, and this girl's a little bit bigger, but I'd say she's maybe 6.5 feet or so. A little bigger than the male, but just gorgeous animal to look at. And hopefully I should have another litter of these beauties sometime this summer, probably around July or August. So please stay tuned for that. Next we have a baby male, 2022 born Longicauda, born here in July, so he's about 6 months old or so. And you can see how different the coloration is. He hasn't developed his dark pigment yet. And you can see, look at the belly, it doesn't have much of those black speckles. And just overall he's much lighter in color. And so I have a few of these animals remaining, looking for new homes, and they're doing really, really well. Most of them are eating frozen thawed prey items. And they've been really straightforward as far as the husbandry. This particular male kind of stands out because he kind of has a stripe on his tail, this patternless area. I always look for holdback animals that have a little something different. Kind of sets them apart. I like a boa that's a little bit unique. Not exactly sure if I'm going to hold them back yet. I might not hold back any of these, but we'll just have to see. This guy might be staying here, but I just haven't made up my mind. But regardless, there are plenty of beautiful animals from this litter available right now. So if you've been looking for a Longicauda, feel free to shoot me a message. One more animal for this video. This is another 2021 holdback from the Boas bloodline. So you can see, compared to the 2022 animal I just showed you, this animal has darkened up quite a bit. She's not actually as dark as her brother, the animal I showed you in the first scene. He's just darkened up a little bit faster. But she'll continue to darken up, and you can expect that the 2022 animals will look something like this in a year's time. They just get more and more dark pigment. But another really nice animal. So she probably will be ready to breed, I don't know, maybe 4 years from now. We'll just have to see. But putting on some size, but not a huge amount of size. These aren't giant, these aren't really huge boas. But just a really non-demanding type of boa that a lot of people really seem to identify with and they are attracted to. So a great locality boa that I can't recommend too much, the long-tailed or Longicauda boa. So there you have it, some of my Longicauda boas. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to shoot me any questions or comments you might have. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your boas.